Patrones magazine is very chic, very up-to-date because it brings you all the different models from the catwalk. So from the catwalk to your wardrobe, so you can recreate them at home. And because last Monday I made this little summer jacket from one of the vintage ones from my grandma's, I noticed some differences that I think are really interesting. This Patrones magazine is the second one I have. Last year I had another one and I've sewn quite a few things with them. I've enjoyed it, and this one from here is from autumn 1990. And even though I didn't sew at that time, I was only 6 years old, it's quite nostalgic to open it and see all the different models and photographs, because you remember people dressing this way. Look at the shoulder pads.
I've never liked shoulder pads.
And because this is the only one I've got, I can't really tell you about all the ones, but if you happen to have one from, older than autumn 1990, have a look at it and tell me if you notice any other differences, because I haven't had any luck finding information about how this magazine started or who founded it, so let me know. The first thing you can see, very big, is how many patterns you are purchasing. And nowadays, of course, this changes from one month to the other, but in this one they tell you it's 149 patterns, which is not exactly true because they always count all the different sizes. So in truth, they bring 40 different models and in 4 different sizes. It doesn't sum up to 149. I don't know what they are counting or how, but that's the sizes and the models. And in the older one, they tell you it's 207 patterns, but what I can count is 71 different models in 3 different sizes, which also doesn't sum up to 207, but that's what I can count around here. These 3 sizes in the older model are sizes 40, 44 and 48, and in the modern one it changes depending on the model. Sometimes they start with size 34 or 36, and they always skip a size, so you will have a 36, 40, 44 and 48 in your model. Things that I found in the vintage one that are not there anymore. There's a news section before the instructions, just on the page before, there's news about different brands, Lacoste, Cartier and things like that, which is quite interesting. And one thing they have is recipes in the end. There are 4 recipes, very fashionable, very posh, like duck and things like that. So it looks good. And one thing that I found in the instructions is the measurement sizes for men. There aren't any models, any patterns for men, but I guess that if they have the measurement sizes, I guess there's something they used to do quite often, so that's that. They don't have them anymore. But one thing they have now is children's patterns, which is very good. They have 7 on this magazine, and really nice ones as well. And one thing they have as well is big sizes, in sizes 50, 54 and 58. That's why I wasn't summing properly, I wasn't adding up properly, because this is 3 sizes instead of the 4 the rest of them have. But one thing I don't agree with is that if you're going to have a bigger sizes model, you'll need a bigger size model, and I don't think this girl is a size 50. Of course, if you're going to adapt a pattern, you can adapt any pattern, but For example, for me, coming down from a size 50 would be a bit more difficult, and maybe I cannot adapt it as well. So I think you should be real and photograph a real 50 size model, in my opinion. One thing they're still not doing is telling you the level of difficulty one pattern is. So you're going blindfolded there. So it's quite nice when you see that nowadays some of the patterns have an easy sewing sign, which is really good because maybe you're not confident enough to sew other patterns, but those ones you can go straight for. And one thing I love is the pages in which they show you all the different models, very small, very schematic, and it's quite good because you get an idea of what you're going to sew. It's like if you were seeing it with the seams, and it's quite clear and nice. One thing that hasn't changed that much is the instructions on how to trace and cut your pattern before sewing and how to measure yourself. What they have added is a drawing on your measurements, how to take your measurements. That's new here. And one thing that really surprised me is the sizes. I am a size 40 nowadays, and back then apparently, which in other magazines has changed a lot, but in this one is the same. And one thing they have added is different measurements, like for example your bust height or the crotch as well, which is quite good. And when you get to the instructions on the pattern you're going to cut, it's just the same. I can't see much difference. They still tell you of course, the patterns, the lines you have to follow, the color or design you need, how much fabric you're going to need, the different cuts, they still tell you that, and they used to tell you that as well. Like for example, you need one front and a back and two facings. They have everything explained. And then when you are in the sewing instruction, the only thing that has changed is that now maybe if you're going to sew pockets or a zip, they just tell you that that's going to be a bit different, like it's another paragraph, but it's just the same. Nothing has changed really. And now the pattern sheets. In the vintage one, which is a lot, there are 6 pattern sheets. I was really surprised, but it's really good because they are really clear to see and you don't get confused at all. On the modern one, on the other hand, it's only 4, but it's traced with different colors. So if you're going to cut this pattern, it is in this color, so you don't get lost at all. On both ones, they tell you on the top, either if it's with different symbols or with colors, they tell you the patterns on that sheet of paper, which is quite good because you don't get lost. And on the modern one, they have a method of numbers. For example, if your pattern needs 6 different pieces, they are numbered from 1 to 6 and you can see them clearly. So that's quite good as well. I don't really like the color bit because I don't see it as well as the darker ones from the vintage patterns, but that's just me. And the size is just the same. It's just 5 centimeters wider, but it doesn't really change that much. So it's almost the same. At the end of the day, the Patrones magazine hasn't changed at all. It still brings you the catwalk straight to your wardrobe. So that's quite good. It's quite cosmopolitan and chic as well. So let me know down in the comments if you have any older ones. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to know. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. It helps the channel a lot, and that way you don't miss anything, because I upload twice a week. And I leave you here a list of other videos about sewing with pattern magazines, in which I also did the same with the Burda pattern magazine, and there's also a fight between them two. So stick around for a while. Bye. Hola, hola, hola.